A lot of people asked for it, and if I was going to do it, and I said no, but I was wrong, and I'm putting risers on the Polaris now. The main reason for these risers isn't because I really need more height for the snorkel. It's because the fact that this thing faces forward, that's your belt intake. These are the stock risers, obviously. I was having issues with water splashing in there and mud, and my belt was getting pretty dirty. So even water was splashing in here, the belt exhaust. When you do high-speed stuff, water was getting up through these holes and really getting in there pretty good. So I'm going to get them up high where I can see them, and they're all going to be facing backwards now. So yeah, keeping the water out. But I'm not going to do the regular risers because I have to do something different because it's me. So first of all, everyone will tell you this, you need the Spectra fittings to do this. The ones they sell at Home Depot and Lowe's, the 3-inch to 2-inch, aren't the right ones. They're too big for down here. Also, there's a 3-inch kit out there, but that's just overkill. 3-inch pipe's way too big and heavy and will bounce around and stupid. So this is what you want. This is a Spectra fitting. You get them on Amazon for like $6 a piece. It goes from 3-inch to 2.5-inch. Okay. Now, what most people do is they take these. These are just PVC couplers, right? They put a little piece of PVC in there, put that in there, glue it, yada, yada, yada. There's your snorkel. The problem with that is that increases your inner diameter by a good bit. It might not look like much, but significantly decreases flow. And you're already going from a 3-inch pipe to a 2.5-inch pipe, so you don't really want to decrease flow any more than that. So I opted not to use pieces inside, and I just stacked mine up like this. Well, how do you get them to stay like that? You're probably wondering. I put a piece of electrical tape on each one, as you can see right here, to hold them. And then I got some 3-inch inner diameter heat shrink, also on Amazon, for like $10. And you slip a big piece of heat shrink over it, heat it up, and that is plenty strong enough to hold those three things together. Now, there's two reasons for me doing this. Number one, this won't rub on, well, that's number one. Number one is large flow inner diameter, right? I did not really restrict the flow at all. If you look at where these pipes run, they get smaller than this outlet right here anyways. So I didn't really want to restrict flow. That's number one reason. Number two reason is if you have pipe in here, that makes the snorkels about twice as heavy. And a heavy snorkel tends to bounce around and make these fittings loosen up. Even if you put them real tight, you're not tightening onto a super thick piece of pipe down there. It'll bend it and it'll pop off. So keep your snorkels lighter so they don't bounce around, and it gives you more flow. And I like the look. This rubber is a pretty thick heat shrink. That's what's going to rub against your cover, right? Your radiator shroud. If you just painted this black, the paint's going to wear through and this look like crap. This isn't going to wear through, and this will fit nicely up against the plastic and isolate the snorkel, and they won't bounce around very much. So that's why I decided to do it this way. It's also really cheap. Less than $20 in PVC, $10 in heat shrink, and then 6 times 3, $18 in these. So very cheap riser. And I didn't go that high. If you wanted to go higher, all you'd have to do is stack another one of these, put some tape, done. Or if you wanted to go not quite that high, you could use one of these. I don't like these as much because they have a bigger lip in here and they waste some flow. These barely have a lip in them at all. But that's how high I decided to go because I don't want to be looking at my snorkels everywhere I go. I want to, see the trail in front of me maybe. So yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. I'll just show you what it looks like when it's all done, but you can get a pretty good gist of how it's going to come out, right? And that's just regular PVC from Lowe's. I painted the tops black. That shouldn't be a big deal because they're not going to be rubbing up against anything, so it should last decently. And as far as mounting them and keeping them from bouncing, I just cut 3 holes in the top of here so they still fit in there pretty tight. And then I opted to cut this whole back piece out because I don't want to have to fight with taking my upper elbows off every time I go to take this off to clean the radiator. So I cut all this back part out of here in order to make it really easy to take on and off. And it looks pretty clean. So I'll get it finished up and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. There's a little bit of a trick with the heat shrink. So it comes in a roll, so it's all flat like that. So you got to fold it and get that seam out of there so you get it over the pipe. And then you got to take it and you got to cut a smiley face right here so it'll fit up around the snorkel like that. Because you want to get as much contact up on the sides as you can. So that lets you go up a little higher to keep it stronger. You don't have to do that. You could just cut it shorter and I'm sure it'd be plenty strong, but that's how I did mine. And just cut 3 pieces the same length, slip them over there, heat shrink, boom, boom, boom. Looks good. All right, there's the finished product. As you can see, my heights aren't perfect. I left plenty of slack in the rubber coupler to adjust the heights and get the heights all right. The center one's a little low, but there's plenty of slack in there. Looks pretty straight, about as straight as I care to get it. And it doesn't look that bad with the back of this being open because it's all nice and black and nice shiny pretty boots. It would look better if you left this piece on here and just had holes, and it would hold them better, but because it'd make this such a pain in the butt to get on and off, I definitely do not want to do that because this needs to come off all the time to clean the radiator. As far as getting this piece off, it will be a little tricky. You'll have to pick it up pretty high and then turn it to get it over the elbows, but it'll be fine. And it looks pretty clean. I did end up raising them up about, the bottom was about there, so about 7 inches. I don't really foresee myself needing the height, but it will hopefully keep water from splashing up in there when I'm going fast and the tires are slinging water everywhere, and keep my belt cleaner. One of the downside about putting risers on these bikes is the noise. So you're going to get a lot more belt noise from these two and intake noise from this guy. Intake noise, I don't really mind. Belt whining, that's annoying. So not super excited about the noise, but you got to do what you got to do. And a lot of people try to get them straight up and down. I'm fine with that. I think I kind of like the angle, them being kind of swept forward like that. If it rains, oh no, a little bit of water might go in there. Really not worried about it. I put drains on the bottom of the belt pipes down there anyways. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Another benefit of doing them this way with the heat shrink is you don't have to cut any PVC. You just have to buy a couple different size couplers and you can get the exact height you want without having to cut, 40 little pieces of PVC to build your snorkels. So that's pretty nice. And this is a nice, scratch resistant black, PVC heat shrink. So very strong, very durable, and it sits in these holes I cut with a hole saw nicely. So they don't really bounce around at all. And they're not really even mounted in there. This just sits up against them. Very nice. So yeah, to do this, you do need a hole saw, and then to cut the back of it, you just heat the plastic a little bit with a heat gun, and then take a razor blade to make these cuts like that. But yep, there's the snorkel riser for the Highlifter. Everyone asked for it. Here you go. Be happy.